Welcome back. I'm Mel Robbins. Today we're talking about what do you do when you lose somebody you love to a relationship that seems controlling and manipulative. And that's why I brought in Dr. Argie Allen Wilson. She's a family psychologist, and she's the author of the new book, Courageous Conversations Connect, which gives you the tools you need to sustain your relationship, particularly when your kids are in trouble. So, Dr. Argie, I want to start with this idea of what do you do if you're a parent and you don't like the person that your child is dating?
Yeah, you don't get to like the person, right? It doesn't.
What do you mean?
Meaning that you don't get to pick. You don't get to choose your child's spouse or their mate or their partner. That's not a part of the deal, right? And so one of the things I said to the producer is you got to stick with the facts, right? The facts are that perhaps this is not a good relationship and the two of you are not the best versions of yourselves. You don't have the resources, you don't have the support, you certainly are experiencing a lot of trauma. And so with these parents, right, one of the things you need to make sure you do is not have your children being in trouble tear you apart, right? Because if you're not the best versions of yourself, you can't help them. You've got to put your oxygen mask on first and take care of yourselves in order to take care of them.
So one of the things that concerns me tremendously is the fact that you have Pam having experienced trauma and then immediately is in this very intense relationship that starts to have a profound impact on her. What do you see?
Yeah, you know, there's trauma all throughout this family. There's pain. I feel the intensity of that pain. And what we know is that when we are younger, if we experience trauma, if we experience abuse, then that history can repeat itself. The cycle goes on. We call it transgenerational patterns, right? And if you bear witness to violence or experience it yourself, the probability, and the research says, it's higher that you either become a victim or you'll become a perpetrator. So you need to be paying attention to all of those signs that would lead you, Pam, to be in an abusive relationship. Because guess what? It starts with verbal and mental and emotional abuse. And then, even if it's not physical, there's sexual, there's financial abuse, and all of that is related to an abuse of power, right? To get a person to be isolated from everything that they knew and loved so that they're only dependent on you, which then leads you to a codependent relationship.
Is that what you hear? Because I hear a ton of codependency.
Oh my goodness.
Which is I heard somebody say it's an addiction to love, the love addiction, where you just have to be with the person, and that's what it sounds like you guys feel. What do you see?
Well, you know, the cost of love shouldn't hurt. It shouldn't hurt. Right? It shouldn't hurt.
So what advice do you have for Pam?
Pam and Lynn, I would say, but we've got to do our own work, right? There are resources out there. You guys are hunkering down and hiding out, trying to move yourselves away from your pain and from your trauma. And until you actually deal with that trauma, it's going to continue to hurt you. It's like a shadow. No matter where you go, there it is. You can run, but you can't hide, so you might as well deal with it so that you can then get about the business of living your best life. That's what your parents want for you, right? There are programs out there. There are schools, there are resources out there that will provide therapeutic intervention for you so that you can start dealing with this. Because if this is the first time that you've actually had a courageous conversation about your trauma, the last thing we want you to do is for it to go back in and for you to then cover it up and not deal with it.
And what about for the parents?
So for the two of you, Brenda and Roger, you've got to make sure that you stay in a united front, right? It's about communicating with each other, communicating with yourselves, and even in the book, it talks about sustaining your relationship when your kids are in trouble, right? You have a life to live, and you're better and stronger together than apart. But if you allow what's going on with your children to pull you apart, then you really can't help them. So keep that communication open, get your own counseling. Brenda, I know you've got to be feeling some guilt, right? And I know that that's hurtful. No parent wants to see their child go through what they've been through. So you've got to do your own work to free yourself so that you can work on the forgiveness between the two of you, and then you can get about the business of helping them. You can't help them if you can't help yourself.
Dr.